Hey everyone, it's Jake and Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well, and welcome to episode 25 of my Metal Vault. If you've been watching this series for a while now, you know the drill. I'll be exploring and showing you my favourite albums within heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all of that excellent stuff. And if you remember some episodes back, I showed Repulsion's Horrified, excellent grindcore album. Got another one here from these guys all the way from Birmingham here in the UK, formed in 1981, been around for 43 years. Napalm Death, what a band. Love these guys. Saw them 2011, first time at Bloodstock, and then again at the Fleece here in Bristol. And then seen them other times after that. You know, excellent band. Another one tour at the moment. Right. I wish there was one here in Bristol so I can go to it, but obviously I think they're playing one day, whereas like obviously train travel, weekdays, not always reliable with the trains that those days, but if I could fit it in, I can fit it in and so I can see him again. But I did see Shane Embry at the Cavalera show in Manchester last year. So saw one half of Napalm Death at least. But anyway, like I said, been going since 1981, 43 years, and the lineup's changed over the years. They went as a 3-piece, then a 4-piece, 5-piece, now they're back as a 4-piece, and this one of my favorite lineups of the band. You'll know this album as soon as I get it up. I mean, it's one of my favorites from the year of 1988. Once again, this is Napalm Death. And here is their second album, From Enslavement to Obliteration. And what an album this is. Look at this cover. Intense. Well, I mean, awesome artwork, intense music. Let's show the back. I also have this on CD, but before I get to the vinyl. And of course, here's the lineup for this album. We got Lee Dorian on vocals, Bill Steer on guitar, Shane Embry on bass, and of course, Mick Harris on drums. And of course, was the member of this band from 1985 to 1991. Of course, the last album he did with Napalm Death was Harmony Corruption, which came out in 1990. Of course, he was on the demos from 85 up until 91. So played on Scum, played on this, played on Harmony Corruption, and did EPs and splits. And after that, got a new drummer in who is just as intense as Mick was. And absolutely fantastic band. Let's get the lyrics out here so you can see lyrics. Another band picture there. Of course, Shane is still in the band today. Joined the band back in 87. Yep, 1987. He's been the bass player for about 50, 60, 57 years. Absolutely incredible how long this band's been going for. Yeah, so yeah, he joined the band back in 1987, so he's been in the band for 50 odd years now. So, but anyway, yeah, lyrics there. Of course, got a bit of artwork there, which I know is on some t-shirts. Of course, I already said who's in it. Of course, on the famous Earache label. Yeah, put my Bristolian accent right there. Of course, a nice black of the vinyl right there. Yeah, just a solid release from these guys. And of course, coming out in the late 1980s. Of course, a lot of bands did come out that year, like Paradise Lost, Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, um, tons of Vital Remains, another one came out in '88, and of course Bolt Thrower. I mentioned that album. In Battle There Is No Law came out the same year as this. Now this whole album, well, before I get onto this album, let's talk about the band themselves. Again, let's go back to the history. So 1981, it was the lineup of Nick Bullen on vocals, Miles Ratledge on the drums. We had Sonny Finbar Quinn on the bass, and then Daryl Fid Slick. I can't. So Daryl Sid on guitar. So that was that lineup on the Halloween demo in 1982, and then I did another demo called "And Like Sheep We Have All Gone Astray," which obviously is Nick and Miles still those two members, because those are the ones who formed the band. Of course, he's not doing much now. Miles Ratledge. He's in a band called Witch Hunt, but don't know what's going on with that. He had a song called Robbo, who was in Napalm Death from '82 to '85, so was probably not in the band when Mick joined. And then Daryl again on guitars was only in the band from just '82. That was it. Get on to '83 with the next demo called CAC, I think it's called KAK. I think that's how I said. Of course, they still had Finn on bass then, and was in a band called Curfew. Well, with Witch Hunt, it said unknown, but that was Mars' last band. And then Unpopular Yawns of Middle Class Warfare. You can tell with their lyrical themes, very political, being punk, a lot of political lyrics. It's that same lineup, and then getting down to 1985, Hatred Surge, which was the ones that featured. Well, on bass they had Pete Peanut Shaw on bass. That's the only time he was in the band. But this was the last demo to have Miles on drums, but on the cover it will be Mick, who would join that year. Of course, they had Justin Baldrick on guitar. Of course, went on to form Godflesh, but had because before that. Of course, Nick still on vocals then, not playing bass. Then there was the From Enslavement to Obliteration demo before this album in '88. This demo came out in '86, which was just Mick, Nick, and Justin. Nick going on to bass and also still doing vocals at that time. Then they did the Scum demo in 1986. Of course, Justin did vocals on track 6, which is Polluted Minds. Of course, all their songs now one song's like 6 seconds long, and then the longest one's 2 minutes and 40 seconds. No, wait, one's 4 minutes and 3 seconds. That's Siege of Power. And then, of course, the debut Scum, which had 2 different lineups. So Nick and Justin were only on the first half, the A side of Scum. So tracks 1 to 12. And then Lee, Justin, and Bill were tracks 13 to 28. Bill Steer of Carcass, joined Napalm Death, still doing Carcass at the same time. Jim Whitey, well, there's a name everyone should know, was in Doom, Prophecy of Doom for the last bit of their career. He's in other bands now. One's called War Prayer and Extinction of Mankind. very big within the grindcore crust punk scene. Of course, he was on, like I said, on that side, was in the band for a long time. Because I think in between that, they did have Frank from Benediction in the band for a time. Just looking at the lineups here. Yep, Frank Healy was, of course, he's still in memoriam today, and was in Benediction, and of course Sacrilege, Cerebral Fix, sorry, almost said Agnostic Front, and on Afrak, that's who I'm on about. As the World Dies was in them for a bit. Yeah, was in the band for a while. Of course, did the first Peel session in 1987, which would have been, of course, the lineup that's on this album, which we will get to in a minute. Of course, Shane Embry joining on bass then. And, of course, Lee and Bill, of course, still in the band. And then the compilation from Enslavement to Obliteration and Scum. And then actually getting onto the album in question, from Enslavement to Obliteration. And I believe the one I got is a re-release, because the original release won't have the last few songs on it, because the last song on the original release is Make Way. The one I got, this is a re-release from 2012, so I'm going to look that up. The vinyl release I'm looking at, there we go. Yeah, the one I got has, of course, The Curse, Scum, a different version of Scum, Life, Retreat to Nowhere, and Internal Animosity. I think I just said that wrong, but there you go. But obviously, those two songs, as you know, Retreat to Nowhere's on this album anyway, but that's a different version of the song. Now let's talk about this album, and of course, let's talk about the lineup as well as the album. So the lineup, of course, consisting of Lee Dorian, because after Lee Dorian and Bill Steer, Shane Embry, and Mick Harris. Let's get a drink in. This band, like I said, highly influential. Another band that was influenced, a band who influenced them to do this music. Well, one of it, because they found out all about these bands, knew about Death and Massacre, Repulsion, Master. Of course, on the Metallum Where I Go, many consider Repulsion the true founders and legends of grindcore, but this is debated, because technically Napalm Death formed before them, which is true. But then, of course, Napalm Death were influenced by Repulsion. You can definitely tell what bands they were influenced at that time, because obviously a lot of them finding like bands like Death, Morbid Angel, Massacre, Master, Repulsion. You can tell, and on this album you can tell of all those influences in there, and it is every song. I mean, Evolved as One, which is one of the longest tracks on here, clocking in at 3 minutes and 14 seconds. I had to double check that's the only one that's longer than the rest, and it is. It's more of a slower, doom-esque sort of song. I think a lot of people were like, what? At the time, like, what the f is going on here? Like, geez, it's too slow. This isn't a Napalm Death that we know. Of course, later on, experimented with different styles and everything else. And then, of course, it gets straight into It's a Man's World, which, of course, I think that's the shortest song on here. Clocking in, the second shortest song on here. No, third shortest song, because the shortest one clocks in at 31 seconds. No, 22 seconds. That's the first shortest one. Then Retreat to Nowhere is 31 seconds. Impressions is 35 seconds, and of course, the one I just said is A Man's World, 54 seconds. Because most of them are like over a minute or 2 minutes long. Just as soon as it gets to those songs, it's just like ba 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 ba, like just totally in your face. Of course, the title track just intense song. I mean, looking at the cover, it's just like, yeah, you just lose your mind. And there's a reason why this is my favorite album, especially with this lineup. It's just you could just feel the intensity, the energy from this album, from what all the guys were playing on it. Yeah, this lineup. Whoever got a chance to see this lineup back in the day, I'm jealous. Wish I saw that. But of course, seeing Shane Embry on stage enough, because obviously, like I say, he's been in the band since 87, since 1987, and yeah, mad. And the one that did that artwork is Mark Mark Sakura from Germany, who's done artwork for various, well, 4 bands. Death, he did their Mutilation demo in 86. Defecation, Purity, Illusion. I've said that right. Of course, Defecation is Mick Harris and Mitch Harris, who joined the band later on. Inhuman Condition. There's Sanction SAEP, Inhuman Conditions, on Germany, which was a thrash metal crossover thrash metal band. Macabre, their Shit List EP in 1990. Napalm Death, of course, this. And Unseen Terror, Human Error, which, of course, features this man on the drums. Which I never knew he played drums. I thought, oh, I just knew him as a bass player, but then he can play bass and guitar, which is cool. Multi-instrumentalists that, really good. And just a intense excuse me, intense album. Sorry about the sneezing. And if you don't know this album and you are a fan of Napalm Death, I mean, like I said, they've been going for 43 years, but you've never checked out this album, do so. Just a belter, intense, in your face, aggressive album. And of course, the last one, Internal Animosity, I think that's how it's pronounced there, is also like the Evolved as one, like, because like I said, this is a re-release. This vinyl I got. And that one clocks in at 5 minutes and 30 seconds, because it's more of an instrumental type of one. So basically what I'm getting from those two, like if I'm just going to talk about the re-release here, very Godflesh inspired, like not inspired, very Godflesh-esque sounding songs, because obviously Godflesh being one of the biggest industrial metal bands, and of course I talked about them in one of my other episodes on this series, talked about Street Cleaner. And of course, Justin was in this band, not, of course, not on this album, but on their first album, Scum, and demos before that. But yeah, you could tell where these guys were going with their style. And of course, after this album, 89 rolls around, appear on the BBC back then, and of course, playing You Suffer, which is from Scum, and then playing from Enslavement to Obliteration, of course, the title track of the album. If anyone remembers watching that, I found clips of it on found the show here on YouTube. Craig Charles, who of course Red Dwarf, of course got Carcass on, which is Bill's band on. because I think he wanted Napalm Death, but got Carcass. I'm not gonna know the whole story, but yeah, got him on, and he was reading the lyrics like from Evolved ones like your pride, why should you pride to be so restricted to a mere fraction of this earth? Like those are some deep lyrics, like because like I said, it's a very, very slow song, but then it's building up to the amount of intensity with all the other songs being like shorter than a second, like like seconds to minutes to 2 minutes, and it's like, and that's Napalm Death in a nutshell. Just fast, intense music, especially with those earlier albums like Scum from Enslavement to Obliteration. When it got to Harmony Corruption, got a bit songs got a bit longer, more death metal. But they blend that in so well with this album, and of course later albums. It's just, but in a sense, this is still punky in a way. Just turns up to, freaking 20 or something, what, or maybe higher than that. But solid album. One of my all-time favorites. If you, like I said, don't know this album, or you don't know Napalm Death, and you're just tuning into this series for the first time and my channel, you're probably like, you'll know that logo there. You'll know this logo here. I don't know how long they've had that logo for, like this particular one, because it's changed over the years. But one of my favorite logos ever, because I got a lot of favorite logos. Should just do a list on my favorite logos or just favorite album covers, and obviously this is one of them. If you want to start off with Napalm Death, like early Napalm Death, then yeah, Scum from Enslavement to Obliteration. If you just want more like fast in your face songs, definitely this one right here. Debut. I still want fast, intense songs. Obviously, do listen to Harmony Corruption and later albums. I mean, I love Napalm Death. Since I got into this band around the same time I got into doom metal and black metal, 2008. I thought, who the hell's Napalm Death? And I checked him out. It was a later song from one of the albums that came out at that time. I cannot think which one it is, and I'll look it up later. You want some excellent, in my opinion, excellent grindcore. Definitely check out Napalm Death. Check out From Enslavement to Obliteration. Man, I would love it to see this album played in full live. That would be great. Of course, it won't be the lineup that's on the back, but I mean, of course, Shane's on this album, but it'll be minus these three. So obviously, Bill's busy with Carcass, so he left the band 89 to continue on with Carcass. Obviously, Carcass and Napalm Death were on the Grind Crusher tour with Boltfer and Morbid Angel. Because the last thing these guys that this lineup did together was the Mentally Murdered EP, which I do have in there. And the cover I'm looking at is the same cover I got, which has the 99p sticker on it. So, of course, that was the last thing to be released with that particular lineup. And after that, where are we going? Yeah, and they did a split with Electro Hippies, which wasn't up for there, but I'm guessing it might have been this lineup, or the one which had Jesse on guitar and Barney on vocals. Of course, first band Barney was in was still, still connected to Napalm Death was Benediction. But anyway, give this album a good spin if you have it. You haven't span it on your record player in a while, or you got on CD, pop it in your CD player, or you got on cassette, pop it in your cassette player, whichever. because this album, and I've said this word before, and I'm going to say it for all the other albums that I'm going to be featuring here on this series, a timeless masterpiece. It holds up. It still holds up. You know, came out in '88. It's 2024 now. So what's that? About 36 years now, something like that. Yeah, 36 years, like 30, 30 plus years now. So once it gets to 2028, this album will be 40 years old. That's crazy to think about. So it's been holding up for 30 plus years now, and yeah, love it. I'm gonna give this another spin, because got a lot of things booked at the moment. So there's something on the back. There we go. Yeah, little thing stuck up here. Anyway, gonna give it another spin when I've got absolutely nothing to do. Looking at my room needs a bit of a tidy, so put this on. Obviously swap it over when I need to play the next side, or just either spin the vinyl or play the CD, whichever. Got them both of them. Got them on both formats. Try and get the cassette soon. But anyway, to conclude this video, fast, intense, in your face, Grindcore. Awesome album from the year of 1988. Haven't heard it? Check it out. Haven't heard it in a while? Give it another spin. Napalm Death with From Enslavement to Obliteration. And that is another episode done of my Metal Vault. Got a lot more grindcore on the show from, late 80s, early 90s. Of course, early 2000s, because I'm going to expand to the early 2000s and even go a bit early in that with bands like, obviously Black Sabbath and, who are like big bands like that from the 60s and 70s. Consider like early heavy metal, proto metal. Of course, Black Sabbath being one of the biggest ones, and Deep Purple as well. Bands that I'll be talking about a lot of those. So you're going to get some hard rock in the mix there as well. But anyway, thank you again for tuning in to this episode of my Metal Vault. Looking at the next episode is another grindcore classic. Came out a year later, and the same year as Horrified by Repulsion. And then after that will be some Death Doom, and then some Death Thrash. That's intense early death metal band right here. And getting onto the other side, yeah, death metal, death metal, black metal, funeral doom, death, black in death, and let's just goes on. Anyway, been looking at my subscribers, getting closer to the 660 mark thereabouts. I'm on 657 subscribers now. I'm gonna double check that. So yeah, crazy how long I've been doing this for. What is it? 658. Oh, it's one number out. So to everyone who subscribed very recently, thank you very much for doing that. Means a heck of a lot. I do appreciate it. Never think that I do not appreciate your support, because I do, and it means a lot. But for anyone who's just tuned into this video and wants to see more from this series, from my channel in general, like this video, share it around. Feel free to comment if you have anything on your mind about the band, the video out, like other classic grindcore albums, any grindcore, death metal, black metal, whichever genre is your favorite. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with everything that I am doing on this channel. Of course, more Metal Vault, favorite death metal albums, Soon to be more chats. Last one I did was with Ryan. I'll put that somewhere around here, or even in the bottom below, description below, where you can, I'll just put the bands there anyway, all links and stuff, just in case you haven't, liked them on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you do your socials. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I've been Jake and Jake's Metal Chat. Keep that banner of metal held high, and I'll see you all again in my metal vault.